I haven't been on Space Mountain in forever, but my recollection is you can't see where you're going.
It's in the dark and you can't see where you're going. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's a high speed roller coaster in the dark, and that's a great comparison to parenting. Just buckle up.
This is Shrinks and Giggles, your no BS guide to navigating the pitfalls of modern mental health.
From AI therapy to self-diagnosis spirals, we're here to cut through the pop psych noise from your feed.
I'm Melissa.
And I'm Michaela, your psychologist BFFs.
Let's dive in.
Welcome back to Shrinks and Giggles. I'm Michaela.
And I'm Melissa. Oh my goodness. We are laughing a lot today because apparently parenting is a really funny topic.
Just brings out the giggles.
Yep. I mean, I guess you either laugh or you cry, or possibly in my case, both.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Yeah.
So the first thing that we were going to talk about was what our mornings look like. As listeners may know, I am a parent and Michaela is not. So I thought it would be a fun juxtaposition for us to chat about our mornings a little bit. So Michaela, let me vicariously live through you.
Okay,
what is your morning life like?
So I only have to awaken when there's something going on, whether I have a workout class in the morning, I get my nails done. So I just gingerly wake up, and then I get up and I do my face skincare. I am really not bothered by anything but my cats. And then I go out of my room and I make coffee and I make breakfast, and it's pretty quiet. I'll sometimes listen to some music or an audiobook. It's usually pretty chill, and that's pretty much how the whole day goes. If we're being honest, it's not just the morning. I have things going on. I have, I do things. I have responsibilities. I don't just do whatever I want. But if I want to lay on the couch on a Saturday and do nothing, I don't have to do anything. There's no one relying on me to exist. Besides my 30-year-old sister. What does your morning look like?
So lots of noise and alarm, followed by usually around 6 to 6:30. I've got my little one in my ear, be told that I have to turn on some television, usually around 20 minutes later, getting her dressed, getting me dressed, trying desperately to wake up my other child, who my husband will assist with playing various music, usually turning on every last light. And eventually, typically with 20 minutes to spare before we have to leave, she will get up and then have a whopping 10 minutes to get dressed and eat, which is always fun. I feed them, which, varies. I have one who wants to eat the same thing every day, and the other one wants to eat something different, so that I have to figure out 2 different breakfasts, make sure I pack them snacks, sometimes pack a lunch because my kids have mixed feelings about the school lunch offering. Finding shoes, which is always our fun default, because for whatever reason my children leave their shoes in the car every day, and for whatever reason I have yet to learn that I need to get the shoes from the car every day. Nonetheless, usually that means that they're walking out the door in bare feet or socks, and walking through our dewy grass, and then putting their sneakers on, which I find sensorily gross as heck. And then I get them out the door, and I will drop the one off, drive around the block like a crazy woman. Then I pull up to the other part of the school and walk my younger daughter in.
Before 9 a.m.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. No, the quiet time is 8 to 8:15 in the driveway.
Whew.
Yeah. Yeah.
Joy.
Mm-hmm.
Joyous times.
Then I get my coffee and breakfast and
Oh.
stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's too hard. It's too contradictory, and nobody gives you a medal or says thank you.
Whether you're a mom, whether you're a dad, whether you're not a biological parent, whether you are any kind of caretaker, if you are there in the throes of parenting a child, it is everything. It takes over a lot of facets of your life in so many different ways. And there's a lot of pressure. I find that there's a lot of pressure when I'm in environments where I know there are not a lot of parents around. And particularly if I'm with my children, that there's pressure around how are they behaving? What are they doing? There's expectations that society has, and psychologists, are often kind of thrown in that boat too, in terms of psychologists are expecting particular kinds of parenting and approaches and idealizing a particular way to parent. So I think part of today is debunking that. There is no right way to do this. But there are a lot of different ways that we talk about doing it. And there are a lot of things that sound like amazing ideas. All the self-help books, so many of them sound amazing. And some of them, have some really great advice, but the practicality and implementation, is not the same thing. So I know that as well.
Yeah, I mean, from depictions in pop culture, from my community, and even from clients that I've worked with, I think the general consensus is that moms are more in demand. They have more pressure on them. I feel like they're more sought out, and maybe even like the preferred parent, which I think can be challenging for dads, especially a dad that wants to be there, wants to be a part of it. Like Phil Dunphy, right? He wants to be in the kids' lives and be the best dad possible.
I've always said that if my son thinks of me as one of his idiot friends, then I've succeeded as a dad.
We're coming from it as like a female perspective, yes, from a non-parent, but a psychologist, and from you as a mom and a psychologist. Both.
Yeah. I mean, no shade to the dads. I don't think we can speak to that perspective as readily, which isn't to say that, I, as a psychologist, don't, try.
Right.
And yeah, there's lots of different research out there around dads and everything that goes on with dads and how important they are, obviously, in raising children. So, nod to you. Yay, dads. But yes,
Yay,
obviously,
dads.
I'm not going to pretend that I know what that's like other than what I observe. So, yeah. And regardless, a lot of the parenting advice is applicable to both. This isn't a ticket for dads to be like, you don't have to listen anymore. You don't have to, care about parenting. You don't have to read the parenting books. Yeah, do those things.
Yeah.
Be there. Try to understand your child, because ultimately our takeaway with this, which is me jumping to the end of the pod, but I will do it now just as a precursor and say, hey, our whole mission here is to, validate, yes, parenting is hard. There are a lot of different ideas. And ultimately, it's about you being an informed parent, and you do what you can to keep yourself informed and aware. You are going to mess up along the way, and that is okay. It is okay to have feelings. It is okay to have automatic responses to things that you do not anticipate. And can you embrace some of these ideologies in parenting? Absolutely. And that's what we're going to talk about.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, an example that I don't know, have you used this, Michaela? Maybe I'll ask you. Have you suggested to a parent before the idea of connect and redirect? Have you done that one before?
I haven't done the connect and redirect.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I definitely do go towards the, you have to repair the rupture.
Mhm.
Like, but we can talk about that. Talk about
Yeah,
connect
yeah,
and redirect. Yeah.
Yeah, no, this was me just bringing it up as so this is a very popular one from Dan Siegel's work, and I really appreciate his work. He's done some great stuff. He has so many books out there,
Yeah.
and the takeaway from some of his more neuroscience informed parenting books, one of them is the idea that when you're struggling, you connect and validate with what the child's going through, and then you redirect them to another activity.
Welcome back to the light show. Hi.
Hi, Lily.
Hi, Daddy.
Lily, sweetheart, no. No. We're not going to do that today.
Actually, Claire, we're trying not to use the word no so much. We just read a book that said children learn to rebel against that word, so we redirect her into a new activity instead. Here, we'll just watch this. Lily, sweetie, hi. It's Daddy here. Would you like to listen to some music? Okay, there you go. See?
Every new generation thinks they have cracked the code on child rearing. What's the latest theory? Never say no. I say no every day in this house.
But at night, she's a yes machine.
No.
Now, I love this conceptually. I attempted to use this with my first child. I use it with my second child. It is not practical for all children, and it is not practical for all circumstances. With my older one, I found that when I would connect, what would happen is she would become so overwhelmed by her emotion that she'd cathart the heck out of it, and I could not redirect her. So the connecting was great, but then I felt guilty that I was like, I can understand how you're feeling this way. And she's like, I do. And then we were lost.
Stuck in the emotions.
Yeah. Yeah. The redirect then, and me as an empath, shocker, as a psychologist, was also then like, oh, I'm so sorry that you're feeling that way. And then, struggling with, navigating, experiencing that emotion with her. And then both of us trying to redirect to something else. So yeah, it's a great concept if you are the ever Yoda-like parent that everyone thinks we need to be. But the reality is most of us are not Yoda.
No.
Yeah. Nor
think
does Yoda have children. So
right.
that.
Right.
Yoda
another one.
parenting. Use the Force.
Use the Force. It does kind of bring us into our some of the ones that we were going to discuss, but we were going to talk a little bit about what are some of the, I don't know, top things that happen that just really kind of drive parents crazy and maybe cause you to have feelings about like, why won't you do this?
I never have feelings as a parent.
No, parents don't have feelings. Once you have a child, you have no feelings. Obviously.
According to many of the parenting books, that is really what you were striving for. Feel nothing.
Yeah.
Be
Which is like
a holding space for all of your child's needs and emotions. Yes.
Just be that blank ball, that little bouncing calm ball that like is on the calm app. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's like when you are a child and up until you have a kid, maybe, right? You're allowed to have emotions. And then as soon as you have a kid, you can't have those emotions anymore. And so, what? Like the kid is the only person that can have emotions. Like this theory doesn't make sense. So our message is parents have feelings too.
So we're going to talk a little bit about 3 approaches and walk through how do you navigate day-to-day life if you are using one of these approaches. So, okay, Michaela, what might be some things that I'm facing as a parent in my day-to-day life?
Yeah, I mean,
What have you heard
to go
me
with
complain?
We have to go with the shoes at first.
The
of
shoes.
course.
Okay.
Yeah. The shoes. I feel like this is everyone is like, why won't they put the shoes on and leave the house? Like every day, it's like you need shoes.
Hey, Mum, have you seen my shoes? Hey, Mum, you said that my shoes were at the front door, but I can't see them anywhere. I always put them away. Mum must have moved them. She always does that. I looked everywhere, Mum. I can't find my shoes. Sorry. I found a piece of carrot in my spaghetti. I'm not eating it.
Shoes and getting them to eat, right? Like those.
Right. There's the basic keeping your children alive. Now, yes, you
Yeah.
could make the argument that children do not need shoes in order to stay alive. However, I would make the argument in,
They wanna keep
contrast
their
to
feet.
that. Right. That you want to take good care of their feet. You
Yeah.
want to prevent them from getting splinters and blisters and injuries that, could potentially cause sepsis and they die. So at
Right.
the least, you want to keep them protected. Plus, of course, you're going to encounter lots of spaces where they're going to require you to wear shoes,
Yes, society does enforce that rule.
It really does. Yeah. Can't go into a restaurant, can't go into a grocery store, can't go into
No.
most stores with
No.
no shoes, right? Like even at the
Oh.
beach, they will say, you have to wear shoes.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah,
I used
it's
to
a
have
thing.
like nightmares of like going somewhere and not having shoes. It just came to me.
Wow.
Anyway, so yes, you need shoes.
Your mom must have been on top of it. Yeah.
Right? It's like- or maybe we forgot shoes one time and it was a big thing. I don't know. I'll have to ask her.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah,
Go into
exactly.
that further. But okay, yes.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
for
but
those
yeah.
who don't know what Michaela is referencing, yes, I personally, with my children, and I know that, there's likely some children out there who love shoes, who want to wear them all the time. I've encountered children who will only wear particular shoes. Definitely like rain boots are a popular one, I know, for certain children.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
Yeah,
Fun
and
shoes. Yeah.
yeah, which is super fun if you have a school then that is requiring a particular kind of shoe, which I've encountered
Oh.
multiple times now, where we've had requirements to not wear certain shoes, like Crocs are offensive, apparently. I mean, they're not the prettiest shoe, let's be real. But
No.
nonetheless.
Those are very polarizing Crocs. You either
Yeah.
hate them or love them. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but in any case, okay. So what do you do if your kid, doesn't want to wear shoes? Is that what we want to go with here? My kids,
Yeah, I like that.
yeah, my kids, it's usually I can get them to put them on, but that they leave them weird places, often in the
Yes.
car.
They do love taking them off. I've also witnessed this.
Yes. Which, like, I am perfectly
Because
okay
most
with.
children-
The F around and find out approach to parenting. So the FAFO, we're calling it, right? All right. So, this was founded, sure, in social media as the idea of, what, we're kind of done with coddling children. We've been coddling them. Now they're all very fragile. Their mental health is in, the trash can. So what can we
Yeah.
do to make more resilient kids? So, I would argue this is the natural consequences approach to parenting. Now, what this approach would do if your children refuse to wear shoes, I imagine, is let them not wear shoes. Now,
Yeah.
that overlooks some important tenets here because, again, if you need to go somewhere and the child isn't wearing shoes, you are kind of stuck.
Or you're carrying them.
Yeah, no, but then you're not FAFOing. You're just effing
That's
yourself.
true. That's
And
true.
your back. Oh, yeah.
Right.
No, that doesn't
That's more
work.
on
All
on
right.
a different, the gentle parenting maybe approach.
Right. So when this could work, you're FAFOing it and say your yard has an oak tree that is a California oak, which has those lovely prickly leaves. My kid routinely goes out in the yard, will run around with no shoes, come back and be like, there's a leaf stuck in my foot. Now then I'll pull the leaf out and she'll do it again.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, is she finding out? seemingly not connecting the dots on that one. Now, my older one, yeah, okay, she's done that enough now. She did have an incident with no shoes where she ran over a rose clipping. So maybe, on the FO, she found out because that one was stuck. It was gnarly. We could argue that this is, yes, a basic tenet of childhood, because for sure, I definitely was not a shoe fan either, but nonetheless,
Yeah.
All right. So, but if we were going with the gentle parenting approach, at least the way that it's often depicted in a more social media context, it would be that we would understand that the child doesn't want to wear shoes, that we would, discuss that, process that we would, allow them to make an informed decision around not wearing shoes, perhaps discuss the logistics of that, but understand that they might have feelings about the logistics and, really kind of tie yourself into Gumby to try to work with the child with where they're at to be like, okay, this is what we're going to do.
It's okay, buddy. Say you're sorry. Just asking you to apologize. You don't gotta freak out everybody. Oh, shit.
Hey, okay, what is going on here? Why is he screaming?
Because he hit Nate with a stick and I told him to apologize.
What you're feeling now is what you're feeling, okay? Let it out.
I don't think
I don't need you to think right now, Connor. You need to respect your son's autonomy and really let him process how crossing this boundary is affecting his ever-evolving moral code.
I want my stick!
Stick? Where is it? Jack, how's Nate doing in school?
Great, he's coming along. How's your little one doing?
He's great. He's perfect.
Yeah?
Come on, bro. Hey.
Now, interestingly, I mean, like if we were doing a competition here, what might win out here relative to the gentle parenting is actually the attachment parenting. However, you will not in the long run win this one. So the attachment parenting approach would probably be like, oh, well, my child doesn't want to wear shoes. It's okay. I'll just wear them or carry them. Everywhere. Right. Like I will just do what I need to do to be physically involved with their care and meet their every need and soothe them and tell them it is okay. And am I going into permissive parenting a little bit here? I might be, and I wouldn't argue an attachment parent is a permissive parent, but I would say that an attachment parent, somebody who's a huge fan of Sears, they're going to be all about their child's emotional needs, and they will give themselves both physically and mentally to that process.
So explain about what is attachment parenting.
So attachment parenting is an umbrella term. It's not an all or nothing term. It's a style of parenting that basically harkens to the way primates parent, things like natural birth and breastfeeding, sleeping safely near your child, holding your child, being with your child. Those are actually things that is kind of the way that mammals parent. It's the way that primates parent. And for pretty much all of human history, it's the way people parented. I think a lot of people hear this term and, think a lot of things, that there's some attachment parenting police, that if you have a C-section, you're out, or if you don't breastfeed, you're out, and it's simply not that.
There are a couple of specifics, like actually sleeping, having your child sleep in the same bed with you.
Right, so...
Or in a sort of a thing attached to your bed.
Right, I think you hit on one of the great kind of, things that happen when you hear this term attachment parenting. You think it has to be that. The notion is sleeping near a child safely, whether that's sharing a bed surface safely or having them near you, is evolutionarily beneficial. It's hormonally beneficial. It makes sense. It facilitates breastfeeding.
Because some doctors say there's the danger of sudden infant death syndrome is raised, or even parents rolling over on a child.
That was always my biggest fear. A giant husband who never missed a second of sleep, rolling over and suffocating my baby.
Right, and the fact is that doesn't happen in attachment parenting families where you are safely co-sleeping. There is no danger of rolling onto your child.
There's all this competing information, and so it's like, what is appropriate for you as a parent and for your child? And so I think to break it down a little bit, we wanted to focus a little bit more on developmental and information and like where your children are at and why these behaviors are happening. So if you're talking about a toddler or even a preschooler, we were chatting about how the researchers are previous developmental psychology is they like to break up toddlers and preschoolers, but really, we can lump them together. A 1-year-old to a 5-year-old, they're, struggling with a lot of, or they're developmentally at the same spot for a lot of this, right? They don't have emotional regulation. And they have a ton of emotions, all of the emotions, and none of the regulatory capabilities. So, they don't want to eat that thing, but they're hungry, but they, aren't going to eat that. So then if you do the FAFO approach and don't feed them, that toddler is going to wake you up at 10 p.m. and demand food. And then your whole entire household is disrupted.
Mm-hmm.
By said child.
Right. Yeah. I admit taking it to that extreme, I'm like, I don't know what you do at that point. But yes, there's some degree of connecting the dots, those natural consequences. And when is the moment, right? I mean, we were talking about it with the shoes. Is there, a profound moment where you have an intense emotional response? So the problem with FAFO all by its lonesome is you're essentially waiting for that to happen. Can you do that with food? No, not really. I mean, can you, persistently just let your child be hungry? I mean, maybe there are those who would, but some kids have a lot of difficulties with sensory stuff around food. Some kids are failure to thrive. Um, it's recognizing, giving them, it's recognizing how to provide children with some agency, with navigating with what feels reasonable, and then providing a frame and letting them color in it, essentially. So yeah, with the food, okay, if they don't like something, I mean, are there those who will be like, oh well, and they will be hungry later and drive you insane? Yes. uh there's also those who will be like, okay, well, I will always make sure there's at least one thing that they will eat, and maybe they will think that they don't eat it, and then if you give them something that they want to eat, then they suddenly will start eating the thing that they didn't want to eat. um that can be a thing. But yeah, it's with that age group, I think developmentally, what we're really thinking about is there's not a lot of regulation. They're co-regulating with their parent. And so it's about creating a space where you feel sane, where you feel like you can be grounded. And creating that frame is what sometimes helps with that, is that you're like, okay, this is our frame. Okay, here's, what we will add to the equation to try to rectify this situation. Or here is our safe go-to dinner that is always on hand that you may not really like, but I know you will eat. And that is what it is. If it's food related, if it's, other sensory things, if it's navigating expectations for day to day. Developmentally, a lot of that is about they haven't been exposed to things consistently. And once they are exposed to them consistently, then actually, they thrive. You thrive too, but is it hard to create that space? Yeah, it absolutely can be. And the more kids, the more complicated. So parents have feelings too, as it relates to navigating those things for their kiddos.
But as they're approaching 5 or basically 3 to 5, when they have the capability to speak and communicate, that it can be challenging to navigate as a parent, because I think like sudden refusal, I think, is something that I hear a lot, right? Like that someone is a parent is frustrated with, like, okay, they did this one day and then the next day they're like, I will not do this. And it's like, but what? Like, it. And it's just this, like, the sudden refusal is probably attached to, something else. Not that they don't want to do the whatever task you're asking. But I thought maybe you could speak to some of that, because I think that that's from a parent's perspective.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing about, I think, this age group is, you've got temperament mixed with brain development in a way that, I mean, is a learning curve for both of you, trying to figure out inherently, okay, do I have the child who wakes up and is, generally in a pretty cheery state, and or likely pleasant most of the time? Or do I have the kid who, maybe kind of isn't? They're slower to warm. They maybe find things a little bit more objectionable. Maybe there was stuff that went on early on that was pretty objectionable. And now they've got, stuff that they're navigating in terms of their neurodevelopment. And you're the holding space for that. And trying to regulate with them, can be hard.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily all about consistency when it comes to sudden refusal. Yeah, you're right. It has to do with, there's moments where they may be asserting themselves for a whole host of reasons. The last time they said yes to something, everything was calm. And this time they, just had an issue where maybe you didn't help them wash their hands before something, or weren't as attuned to them. And so the no can be also an attention getting. It can be a way for them to essentially bring focus back and say, I'm here, pay attention to me, without you understanding logically what the heck is going on. And so on the parents have feelings too, your feelings may very well be like, what do you mean? And immediately trying to logic away something that is hard to play connect the dots. Because yeah, the 3 to 5s talk, but they're not going to play connect the dots for you. They're not going to be like, oh, hey, well, you just did this thing, or you were just paying attention to my sibling, and therefore, no, I'm not eating this thing that I would eat the other day, or, no, I'm not going to, help with this thing, because why should I? Because, the last time I helped, you were doing this and now you're not. And do they consciously know that? Absolutely not. But,
Right.
might you be able to play connect the dots later? Sure. So part of this is, yeah, you're on a roller coaster you can't predict as a parent. Truly, like it's like Space Mountain. There we go. There's our Disney plug, right?
There she is.
Yeah. I haven't been on Space Mountain in forever, but my recollection is you can't see where you're going.
It's in the dark and you can't see where you're going. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's a high speed roller coaster in the dark. And that's a great comparison to parenting. Just buckle up, expect difficulties with transitions, expect the unexpected. Oh man.
So, we see you, we get it. It's not easy, and no amount of parenting advice is going to help you to brace for Space Mountain. Like, it's just not.
Yeah.
And in that 1 to 5 range, you are constructing the roller coaster with your child, and you are in the dark.
Ooh.
You don't know.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah. Yeah, you're building the roller coaster in the dark. That would be very challenging. That sounds hard.
Or maybe it's just that the kid is building it and you're like, what is going on? And then they start, once they are a little bit older, they start to turn the lights on. They start to be like, here's what's going on.
Oh,
See?
okay. Did you see what I was doing?
Great. Here is my roller coaster. And you're like, oh, I see.
Got it.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you feel like that comes out around like early, like the 6 to 8,
yes,
6 to 9
I
range?
totally do. Absolutely.
Great.
I feel like, I say to so many of my friends and to, clients as well, I feel like that 1 to 5 range, you don't know what you're in for. Usually by, 6 to 8, okay, in that range, you start to be like, okay, all right, we've been at this a while and you've turned on some lights. I know. Or you've just memorized. It's still in the dark, but you've memorized what it feels like. So you're like, okay, I kind of know what to brace for here. But that they're showing you a little bit more too, that they're advocating for themselves, that, you hopefully have built a mutually respectful relationship. You know how to engage with each other. You have fun. Um, yeah, there's, more autonomy and there's a bit more in the way of demands, but there's routine, there's school, which, I wouldn't say
Yeah.
is easier for parents per se, but it does provide you space to kind of reclaim more of your own identity.
Yeah.
And for them to start to create a little bit more of one and, gives you opportunities to encourage that differentiation and support it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I liked what we were talking about earlier, where like really this stage is about looking for validation and support and collaboration with you as parents. Whereas before in those stages, like they can't really differentiate themselves from you. And
Right.
now
No.
now it's a little bit more like, okay, I have some autonomy. I can,
Right.
bebop around, but like please don't, don't leave me. Even if that's not how they're coming off. Like that is
Sure.
what you can't leave them,
No. No, they're still prone
keep
to
on it.
making lots of poor decisions, obviously from a brain development perspective. Yeah, I mean, impulse control, honestly, lifelong thing. You really don't, solidly start doing that until you're well into your 20s.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, they're they don't understand the world yet, and they aren't, fortunately, at the age where they're necessarily asserting that they do.
Right.
So are in that kind of nice space where you kind of know what to expect. You're allowing them to onboard more about the world, and you're, there kind of as their guide. And they
Yeah.
respect you in that way, which is really nice.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
would even argue, like, just from my own work, even with kids and, with parents too, but also my own upbringing, I think this is a really important time because they're about to go into middle childhood, which can be rough. There's a lot
Yeah.
of, this is where they're going to start comparing themselves to peers and start to, determine what they're good at, and they're going to be embarrassed by you. So, maybe not all of them, but they
I don't know. I mean, I would
might be more early
say, I was
adolescence.
going to say, I'm like looking at my notes. I'm like, I mean, yes, for sure. There's definitely some kids in the 8 to 11 range that are embarrassed,
Yeah.
that are like, oh, wow, I've put in all this work to differentiate and, I am my own person. Um, I don't know. I mean, the
Yeah.
fiercely independent, sure, they might do that a bit. Like your kiddos who are like, I can play by myself. Yeah, I have
Yeah.
these friends and I know me, and that they are valuing friendships very heavily. Yeah, they may be more prone to doing that. But yeah, I think it's a little bit variable. I think there's definitely a lot more development of identity
Yeah.
and like actively seeking, like, okay, well, so and so's good at this and so so's good at this, and what am I good at? And oh, well, I know I'm good at this, so this should happen, those kinds of things. And then just kind of
Yeah.
navigating that space of what does that look like? And as a parent, yeah, that can mean there's times that you're, like, oh wow, you feel like you've got, your early elementary or even younger kid on your hands, and then other times that you don't. But it's a little bit variable. There's more
Yeah.
onus that they're taking on, right? And yeah, I don't
And I
know,
think I've
more
yeah.
self-comparison. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right. And I think I've been seeing too, and I think this is a conversation that we talk about probably a lot in the practice too, is that there is like this sometimes almost maturity that's coming earlier on, maybe into middle childhood, and why I'm leaning towards this a little bit, because I feel like early on now I'm seeing a little bit more comparison and issues because of probably social media, and that I think does lend to like, okay, if you allow, if there is a lot
Yeah,
of access to that can
that's true.
provide some, so I think there's like just a lot of like environmental and like
That's
you
true.
said, temperament of the child. But again, this is probably like a range similar to like the toddler, right? We have like 8 to 14 where like, these could kind of intermingle and overlap a
Right,
little
right.
in like what's happening based on, all these other factors. And so.
Right. But yeah, I think, the takeaway with some of this is
Mhm.
just taking the time to kind of recognize, okay, what are you up against with your kid? And
Yeah.
what is developmentally pretty normative about that, right? Like you
Right.
aren't necessarily going to expect, say, a 4 or 5-year-old to understand if they're, I don't know, at a soccer game that, okay, the idea is that you're at the soccer game, even if it's hot, we stay at the soccer game because you're part of the soccer team and it's expected that you stay at the soccer game. Like they don't get that. If they're too hot, they're just like, peace out, I want to leave. Whereas, by 10, sure, you would expect your 10-year-old to whine and complain about it, but they're going to be like, okay, yeah, I know. I got to be
I know
here.
I have to stay here. Yeah.
Right. They're going to have onboarded some of the social norms and expectations
Mhm.
and, be able to sit with those. So from a parenting perspective, it's being aware of that too, that, okay, you might be frustrated in both situations, but if your 10-year-old is, like throwing a giant tantrum, that might be a time that, you do want to consult a psychologist because you're like, wait, what is happening? Because something else is
This is
happening then.
not developmentally appropriate. Yeah.
Right. Is there a lot that goes on there? Yes. We can, kind of sum it up as like once you hit adolescence, the roller coaster's be under construction, maybe the lights are turned off again. Like there's a lot that goes on there. And there are physiological as well as hormonal changes that are happening in the brain that mean that things are new, perspectives are new, the way that they're perceiving the world is new. Does that usually even out once puberty is done? Yeah, I would say so. I would
Right.
say the 15 to 18, you're looking more at legitimately onboarding of adult skills and independence and, navigating identity as an adult and where are they at with that and their
Right.
ability to do that. But yeah, it's a rough ride and there will be plenty of ruptures. There will be. And normalizing that and recognizing you're gonna have knee jerks all the time. I mean, you truly are. And like, sure, maybe you'll catch some. Maybe you'll be like, uh-oh. But a
Right.
lot of times you may not,
Yeah.
particularly when you don't know the damn roller coaster.
Well, yeah, I was about to say it's like when they are. So now instead of being in the dark while it's being constructed, you are outside. You're on the people mover going past.
You're waving?
No, like they're not letting you in. It's going to be completely like all the aluminum
Jeez,
foil.
really?
They're not letting you in.
Dang. All right. I don't have a kid that age yet. Is it going to be that bad? I mean, yes, I concede I did that myself, but
Yeah,
I
was like,
feel like that varies. Again,
Oh, for
temperament,
sure.
parents,
For sure.
the relationship that you may have. It's
right. Well, and yeah, I mean, we can summarize that at the end in a minute, but I always think of that Tina Fey was on a talk show and she was saying how like having a teenage child is like having a crush.
Having a teenage daughter is like having an office crush because you just like always like you're thinking about them a lot more than they're thinking about you. And you just like go up to their door and you're like, a bunch of us are gonna eat dinner. You're probably busy. Like, you probably don't want to do that. But like some of us thought it would be cool to like put a movie. Never mind. And they just look at you like they're like looking at their phone like,
there's like this, I wanna, I don't want you to be involved in it. I want to be with my friends. But I think it's very important, especially during that like early adolescence, is to still focus on the connection. And maybe connecting in privacy, like at home, making sure that there's hugs and making sure that there's support and love in the home.
Of course.
And still still all of that yummy stuff, which can help because it's a tumultuous time. So.
Right. Well, and part of the roller coaster, I think, is when you experience the dips, that those can be dips where they want to reconnect. They need you. And
Totally.
I think parents can sometimes convince themselves, oh, okay, this just means that we're done now. Like they're here and I provide
rejection
basic
sucks.
needs. So, but whatever, like F them.
Right. I think it's a nice, right. I think it's a good reminder during the time that they're not rejecting you,
right?
Even though they are. It is not a significant other; it's your child. So it's.
I mean, I don't think it's wholesale rejection, rather integration. Right. There are some small pieces of you that will stick with them. There are pieces of the roller coaster that will stay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Major upheaval, sure. Total landscape change, definitely possible. Yeah, and along those lines, parenting is terrifying. It's so vulnerable, and you put everything into it. If you're listening to this podcast, I know you do. And so it's hard.
Yeah.
And,
extremely challenging.
Yeah. You will have the moments when, yes, the whole damn thing feels like it blew up. And then you reconnect and you mend and you go from
repair.
There. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, this has been fun reflecting on my parenting and psychology journey with you, Michaela.
Yes, I always enjoy a good parenting conversation. Oh man. Well, like and subscribe. Let us know your parenting, experiences. We'd love to hear them. Follow us where you get your podcasts, and we'll see you next time. Bye.